The concept of leadership and what it means to be a leader is so broad in itself that it is difficult, if not impossible, to give one concrete definition to. My experience throughout the Leadership Studies program has allowed me to explore and challenge the varying definitions of the term and to form my own definition as well. My leadership definition has been formed over time through my experiences both before joining Leadership Studies and by the knowledge I have gained during the program. My leadership definition stands today as a belief in doing everything well and with confidence. The best leaders are those that lead by example and through understanding, those who engage in open dialogue with the people around them and utilize that dialogue to enact all-around positive change. The leadership development model, known as LID, allowed me to break down how my life experiences have allowed me to develop my personal understanding of leadership and what the key factors were in influencing my leadership definition. The 6 stages of the model are awareness, exploration engagement, leader identified, leadership differentiated, generativity, and integration synthesis. My LID journey began later in life when I signed up for the March of the Living in 12th grade. I had always known that I wanted to do the march, a 2-week trip, in spending 1 week in Poland seeing concentration camps and other significant sites from the Holocaust, and 1 week in Israel, visiting the most significant sites that developed the state of Israel into the nation that it is today. My desire to go on this trip was fueled by my Israeli heritage and my relatives who survived the Holocaust themselves. I began to view my involvement in the experience as a leadership opportunity during our first group meeting prior to the trip. Our trip leader said something that I will never forget, that we now have a responsibility bigger than we'd ever had to tell the story of what we would see and experience and how those experiences would ultimately shape us as Jewish adults. The colossal responsibility acted as the launching point of my LID journey, allowing me to recognize the opportunity before me to educate my peers and others about the significance of the March of the Living. The experience accelerated my leadership identity, as it allowed me to view myself as a leader through my new responsibility. Though I did not hold a hierarchical position above those around me, I knew that I was being placed in a leadership role by my authority figures to tell the story. The responsibility I held was to all of the Holocaust survivors still with us, to those that did not share the March of the Living experience with me, to educate them on what had occurred in Europe 75 years ago, and to the world, to continue to tell the stories of those before me and of what I had seen myself. I believe my experience on the trip itself allowed me to grow into stage 2 of the model, exploration engagement, and my experiences thereafter of sharing my story with my peers and engaging them in understanding the significance behind the journey that I had embarked on allowed me to move through this stage of the model, engaging my own self-awareness and self-confidence to tell my story and the stories I was now meant to pass on. My journey in developing my leadership philosophy continued in the fall of 2014 when I began college as an undergraduate student at the University of Alabama. I began my time at Alabama excited about the prospects that lay ahead of me and about being able to spend my 4 years in a completely different setting from the one I grew up in. It was through my experiences in Alabama and those visiting various other universities that I realized that I was not happy and ultimately wanted to transfer schools. There is a stigma surrounding transferring. People always think there is something terribly wrong with either you or the university you are leaving, and it is often viewed as a negative experience, as if there is something that you are losing and something that needs to be consoled. I now view my decision to transfer as a leadership opportunity. I took the albatross of transferring schools head on, deciding quickly that if it was something I felt I wanted to do badly enough, which it was, that I should. It was my college experience on the line, meaning my own happiness, comfort, and of course, my education. This is a significant stop on my leadership journey because I viewed it as positively as I could, knowing that wherever I would end up would be the place for me, and that I would ultimately succeed as a student and flourish as an individual. I took that and I expressed it to close friends who also expressed the desire to transfer from their university, but were unsure of whether to do so. I believe that this experience allowed me to grow as a leader and cross into the 3rd stage of my LID journey, leader identified. I am proud of my ability at 18 years old to understand my position amongst my peers who sought my insight into transferring schools to ensure them that it was an important life choice and should be viewed as such. It is also important to note that, looking back, I am so happy that I made the choice that I did and could not see myself as anything but a Maryland Terrapin. My leadership journey continued to develop in the summer of 2015 as a 3rd-year counselor at the sleepaway camp that I grew up attending myself. This summer, I had a more traditional leadership experience, holding a higher position than many of my coworkers as a general counselor for my division. It is at this time that I believe I made the key transition in the LID journey into the 4th stage, leadership differentiated. I made this transition through applying my position as a general counselor, externally a higher role than that of many around me, to helping to facilitate a better understanding amongst my coworkers of what makes camp special and how to make it as such for our campers. My ability to apply my camper experience to those I had as a counselor with others allowed me to achieve this stage of the model through leading as a member of a group seeking a common goal. I am grateful to have had the opportunity to have this experience with my coworkers and campers alike. I applied my experiences as someone who had been in the shoes of my campers and who had lived the same experiences that they currently were. I developed strong relationships with my campers through this, sharing my own experiences with them, ensuring that they knew that their best interest was always my priority and allowing them to have their voices heard while also remaining their authority figure. Camp allowed me to embody what I now hold true to be a huge part of my leadership definition: leading by example and through understanding, and engaging with those around me in open dialogue and utilizing said dialogue to come to the best possible outcome. Looking back, it is what I learned that summer about leading as a member of a group that allowed me to progress into stage 5 of the model, generativity. I am proud of my ability to apply camper experiences to those that I believe to be important for my campers to have, as I saw them as important for their development as mature adolescent women as it had been for me. As I continued from the summer of 2015 to where I am now, integrating what I have learned from the Leadership Studies program, I believe that I have entered or am entering stage 6 of my journey, integration synthesis. Leadership is a lifelong process, and I am aware that the definition I hold now may not be the same as it is 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, or 10 years from now. Something I hold true is that leadership is something that is developed throughout life, and openness to growth is part of what makes a good leader. As for the future, the rest is unwritten, but I know that it will include further development of my leadership definition and of myself as a leader.